episode of Don't Believe Jack, the only show with annoying accents that people can't stand. Hey, I'm your host. What's going on? I hope you're having a good week. Merry Christmas. Mm, I don't know. I just had some tasty tea. The tea was tasty. I usually am not drinking tea in the morning anymore because I find that I don't need it, but I needed a little bump for this show. A bump, that sounds bad. Um, I'm here. I'm having fun. I hope you are having fun wherever you are and whenever you're listening to this. What did I want to say? Oh, yeah. I'm here, and it's pretty groovy. I've had an interesting week. Oh, I basically found this way that helped me go to sleep is actually from one of Tim Ferriss's books. It was what you do is you take a cup of hot water and you. Oh, that's the reason maybe I'm still feeling a little groggy. But I do find that this formula does help to get to sleep. Taking a little apple cider vinegar, um, taking a tablespoon of it, and putting it in a cup of hot water, and then putting in half a tablespoon of honey. The original formula calls for actually 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar and a tablespoon of honey. And I did it that way at first, but it gave me such bad gas I could not stand it. I was like, this is not pleasant. But since then, doing a tablespoon has been very good, and really does for some reason really slow me down. It's crazy, in a good way, in a very good way. So take it for what you will. That's from Tools of Titans. Definitely a book full of some interesting tips. I like that one a lot. I liked that there was another one where the idea is that every hour on the hour you'd look at some people and you'd see some strangers and you'd wish them well. And the idea is it just makes you more emotionally balanced. And I have tried it and it's good. It definitely works. I'll be walking down the street and just be like, I just wish two, and you just pick 2 random people and wish them well. If you're in an office, you just wish some coworkers well. You don't say it to them out loud. You don't have to change your behavior, but just be like, I hope that person is happy, um, and it makes a difference. And I've noticed that the days that I have not done this are days where I feel a little bit more on edge, a little bit more like go go go, a little bit more driven and a little less patient with other people and myself. So, anyways, both 2 great tips out of that book. It's full of many great tips, and I'm only halfway through. So, we'll see what happens next. I'm here, and I'm doing groovy. But those tips work. Ask me about it. You can always email me at Jack Michelle JackMichelle. So Jack like the cheese, and Michelle like the lady, like the Obama, and 1983 at gmail.com. So that's Jack Michelle at 1983 at gmail.com. Yeah, so there's some fun things I've learned. Um, what's happened for me this week? There was a sale at a store, and it had there were Doritos there, and you could the deal was that you could get 1 bag of Doritos for $3, right? Or you could get 3 bags for $6. They were each $2 each, provided you bought 3. And I just whatever. In my moment of weakness, I was just there to get onions, but I couldn't resist, and I got that, and I also got some black beans, and I deeply, deeply regret getting these chips. I've been eating them, and I feel like crap. I feel so bad. They should they should. I don't know what happened, but somewhere along the way, my body said, we can't really be fucking with Doritos no more. They don't work. Like, they should card, like, having Doritos and being over 35 don't mix. They should card for junk food. You know what I mean? Like, you bring it in line and you say, like, I'd like to buy these Doritos, and they're like, well, can I see your ID? And then you give them my ID, and it says you're 36. You know you're not allowed to buy these. You know, you know you can't buy. I swear I'm getting it for my kid. I'm getting it for my kid. Just like coming up with all these lies. I'd have to stay outside of 7-Eleven, just wait for a teenager, and give them money to buy me chips and cookies and crackers and Oreos and gummy bears and Sour Patch Kids and just all the stuff that I can't eat anymore. All I can eat at this point is just I can't even eat potatoes because those are nightshades and nightshades aren't good for you. All I can eat is like broccoli and chicken. That's it. That's the only things I should be eating now in the future going forward. Nothing else. You just can't. I'm not allowed to buy it. It's too bad for you. It's not good at all. It's not good. It's not good at all. At all. This is the BBC World Service. I can do that frighteningly well because I listen to way too much. But anyways, yeah. So, God, Doritos. I was eating them, and you look at it and you're like, wait, you mean in this bag? You mean to tell me that there's 1,500 calories? 1,500? 1,500 calories in this. This isn't even a big bag, and there's tons of air at the top of it. Oh, God. You know, it's like the food is as radioactive as the packaging, as the packaging's color. Oh, I've just been waking up and just feeling like butt because I'm eating junk food. I really can't. People tell people that like when you're young, you should go out and have fun and travel and like, you know, uh, you know, date around and get drunk. I would just if I could go back in time, or maybe start your career, start saving early. No, just junk food, just a lot of junk food. I just would eat a whole bag of those of ballpark sausage, ballpark hot dogs. That's what I would do, just a whole truckload of them. Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Mm. Just eating those, God, they're tasty. And it's funny because I know this, and yet as I was going to bed, I was like, you know what? I need a little treat last night, and I opened the second bag of the three bags of Doritos. I was like, what am I gonna do with these? Am I gonna donate them? Maybe I'll donate them to charity. I don't know. Can I bring them to Goodwill? Like I don't know. Or maybe I'd bring them to some social event, like some social gathering. I would at this point. I think I would make new friends just so I'd have somewhere to dump these Doritos. I can't eat that third bag, and the second bag is open, so it's not like it's sort of rude to just give an open bag of Doritos to someone. You know what I mean? But I need to figure out something to do. Maybe I might have to flush these down the toilet. Like people do with their cocaine or something when they're trying to kick it. Oh no. I don't know. If I open that third, I can't. I gotta. This podcast has given me an opportunity to get really honest with myself that I need to get rid of that third bag before the second bag is done. I need to bring it somewhere or give it to someone or do something with it because it's not good. I can't. I shouldn't have it here with me. Oh, I can feel it. I can feel it coursing through my body. It just gives you a headache and dry mouth and just feel sluggish. It's so strange. Um, so, anyways, that's that. I have been reading more. I've also been getting back into fitness. It's interesting because, like, for a time with my stomach, right? Like, my stomach has been getting slightly larger. Like, I'm still pretty skinny, but like, it's been slightly larger, and I'm saying to myself, like, oh, right? Like, for a while, I was trying to convince myself, like when your stomach get a little bit of a gut, like you start to, and it's relative. I get it. It's not like I have a giant gut, but it is a little bit bigger, right? And like at first, you're just telling yourself your stomach is sort of like going over your like hip line, because you're like those guys in that movie The 300, right? And like it's just like like your abdominals are like pushing out because you're just so strong, and then somewhere along the way you realize that that's not true, right? And they have like lines and like ridges and like all these grooves in their stomach, whereas you just have like lines from like the folds of the fat and stuff. Oh man, my belly. Yeah, I probably need to lose some lbs. But yeah, like and so I work out more. It's really funny because I worked out and my roommate was having a gathering, and when I came upstairs, someone was like, "Man, you look really good. Like you look like you're in better shape. You seem skinnier." I'm like, "Nah, dog, not skinnier at all. Ain't happening." Um, Man, I'm just getting yeah. Like so. Anyways, I'm doing more exercise. I have a whole little routine. It's like 18 minutes in total. It's pretty solid. Um, I think it's pretty good. Um, I pretty happy with it. I have been reading about other exercises though. It's amazing. I wish I knew some of this stuff earlier because it really turns out that like exercise doesn't take nearly as much time as people make it take. Like I was reading, so apparently there was a study they did where they basically had one group of people run at a moderate pace for 45 minutes, and then they had another group where they did this 10-minute routine where it was 2 minutes of warm up running, and then you do a 20-second sprint at maximum, all out. Then you do 2 minutes of light running, light like jogging, and then you do 20 seconds of running, then 2 minutes of light jogging, then 20 seconds of running, then 3 minutes of cool down. So essentially, that's 2 minutes of running, and then 3 sets of 2 minutes of a warm up, and then 3 sets of sprinting for 20 seconds, jogging for 2 minutes, and then after that on the last one you do a 3 minute cool down. But basically, this thing is 10 minutes, and they found that basically the people had identical, pretty much the same kind of health benefits, in terms of like their, I don't know, like testosterone going up, the fat burning effects, weight loss. So basically, running for a minute. Admittedly, it's not merely running for a minute, right? It's running for a minute and then cooling. It takes 10 minutes to do, but basically, they were able to get done in 10 minutes what the other people were able to get done in 45 minutes. And I was like, that is incredible to think about levels of fitness that you can get in just so much less time. Because personally, I hate running. I think it's terrible. I don't enjoy it at all. And it's not even like I don't enjoy it like I'm lazy. Like I'm perfectly fine doing I'll lift weights. I'll hurt my body in many other ways, but running is not for me at all. Don't enjoy it. Anyways, yeah, I just thought that was pretty incredible. That there's like, and then I also saw this thing called the 1 minute workout, and I actually watched the exercises in it, and it is so freaking hard. It's amazing that someone wrote a book. This dude wrote a book called the 1 minute workout, and I'm like, who is gonna buy that book? Like seriously, like if it's 1 minute, like presumably I could write it on like an index card. I think if I see that book in the store, I think I'm literally just gonna have to pick it up and then I'm gonna bring an index card with me and then just write down the steps and that's it. Cause like you don't even need I mean, if something is 1 minute, you don't even need a book. I mean, I don't need to read this book. I can just try it for like a couple weeks and see how it works, right? Like I don't need to be convinced. It doesn't take that much time, you know. Like I'm only gonna read a book if it's like about something that I can't do easily, right? Like if I can do it that easily, it's like yeah, I'll just try it and see if it works. So I'm wondering if that book is gonna sell. I mean, he did a great service to us by boiling it down to a minute. Probably a bad service to himself. Anyways, I watched a video. There was one of these local news reports where they did the minute of exercise, and I tried some of the moves. Basically, like some of the things are you're in a lunge position and then you jump and switch legs in the lunge position. I probably did that for about 15 seconds in the middle of my other workout, right? Like instead, because there's a point at which I do lunges for 30 seconds. Instead, I tried doing this switching thing, and it is so frigging hard. It is so hard. I probably crapped out about 18 seconds in. I was just like, oh, bro, I can't. Yeah, I can understand why they start with those jumping lunges because you have to be. It's explosive. It's super. I felt like I was in the combine or something. It was insane to have to like jump and swap your legs like that. It's pretty cool. So I think I may try it. I'm definitely gonna try that 20-second sprint thing. I'm really feeling that. I sort of have fallen off the Peloton. I was doing Peloton. There's a Peloton in my building, and I was really into it. And then I was like, this is like kicking my butt, and my legs are getting thicker, but my upper body's not as strong, and I actually seem to have trouble based on the muscle I've built up. I'm much less efficient at doing Tabatas and um, doing, just like burpees. Like it's actually becoming harder to do burpees the more Peloton I do. So I actually dropped doing the Peloton entirely. I don't know. I wonder how that bodes business model wise. I don't know. I'm curious for them. At least for me, I don't think I will go back. I mean, I think I like the idea of like maybe doing that same 20 seconds on, 2 minutes off thing on a stationary bike. I think that could be really cool. If I don't want to do running, which I don't want to do because I think being on a bike is probably a little bit easier on the knees. Um, but than sprinting for 20 seconds. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I did. It was really funny. No one had actually posted what this 1 minute workout consists of. Uh, so I was Googling about it. No one's putting it up. I guess in solidarity with the author. And but I did see. It was really funny. Some of these workouts were listed on WebMD, and on WebMD it did say, like, I went to the WebMD website and things have really changed on the WebMD website. I can see that I can see that they're a company and not a service, if you will, not a profession. Um, because one of the big headline articles on WebMD was "Build a Better Butt," which I think is just amazing for a website that people used to like go on because they were worried about like eczema or like heart palpitations, right? Like this idea that like it is for medical purposes, and now it's really just um, it's just like Men's Health, which is like not even a health magazine. I don't really think, like, not genuinely. Anyways, what else did I want to talk about? I just want to talk about this briefly. I thought this was interesting. I was talking with a friend of mine, and he gets his hair cut. He's a black dude. I'm a black dude. We talk as black people. And he was talking about how he went to these Nigerian barbers, and these Nigerian barbers just like love being in America, even though they're like busy cutting hair and driving for Uber, and they've got like 3 jobs. They just are really happy to be here, and like they're on their hustle. And I was trying to explain to my friend, if you listen to this song, I highly recommend listening to this song. It's called America by Homeboy Sandman. It's quite good, and I think it basically encapsulates like how these Nigerians probably see the world, like how my parents probably see the world. They're just like, dude, America, like there's so many cool things you can do here, right? You can like make money and keep it, and you can have all this economic opportunity. It was funny, I was talking with my dad this week about the possibility of maybe doing something in my career that would lead back to reinvesting in Cameroon, and he basically said, nah, don't do it. There's no opportunity there. It's a dead end. There's tons of corruption. And he wasn't saying it in a negative way. He wasn't like bitter, about it. Like my mom tends to be more bitter about Vietnam, which I get. Um, but he was just like, no, you don't want to go back there. Like it's not functional. It's not good. Uh, it's not productive. And I was like, damn. Like, and he's not, he loves Cameroon. He likes to go back. He likes to spend time there. He takes people's calls. He sends money. He does all of this stuff. Like, it's not like he's not a fan of Cameroon. It's not like he's not rooting for Cameroon, is what I'm trying to say. He's definitely rooting for Cameroon, but he's just like, dude, they'll never make the playoffs at this rate. Like, that's how my dad feels about it. And he's just like, nah, man, the future is here. Like, this is where the action's at. And it's true, the amount of freedom, like really, like for an immigrant, like they look at this and like, no man, the amount of freedom in America is incredible. Like the perspective. I talked with like an uncle of mine, and he was explaining. He's now like an economist, right, at the World Bank, and he told me this story about how when he was like something like when he was like 10 or 12, he had to take an exam, and the exam was so he could go to middle school because his family could not afford middle school for him, right? They could not afford middle school for him. Um, so he had to take an exam, and he said something like 6,000 people took this exam, and it was for 150 slots in a school, in a middle school. If he did not get into this, he would not be able to continue his education. Like, that's his perspective. Versus, like, here, it's like, right? Like, sure, in a lot of cases, school systems aren't great, but, like, you actually have access to education. And child employment, your child labor is illegal. So, pretty much, like, your parents have to send you to work. Like, send you to school. Like, they can't just, like, make you work. So, like, everyone here can be like literate and everyone can get access to school. And this guy was just describing how he's like, I had to take an exam. I did the math and it worked out something like only the top 3.5% were able to go to school, right? Whereas like here, like friggin' everybody can go to school, like literally everybody. That's incredible, you know. In a lot of places, you make money. You know, you don't know. Maybe some guy just comes along and he takes it from you, or says, "Hey, give me a cut." Like that doesn't. I mean, that happens here in some ways, but not really. You know, it's just it's unreal what you can have here. The way I'd put it is like people are like, "Oh, someone got punched in the face in America," and I think the way my dad or immigrants look at it is they're like, well, someone got punched in the face in America this week, but back where I'm from, 50 people got punched in the face. So it's pretty good here. It's pretty good by comparison, you know? Like things are pretty groovy. I have a very low probability of getting punched here, but a very high probability of getting punched over there. So yeah, I don't know. It's just it's interesting. I was thinking, and I'll just close with this thought, which is not even funny, but it's something I've been wondering about. And if anyone has thoughts on this, like definitely reach out to me. It's certainly something I want to talk with people more about. But just this idea of whether like I was thinking about the fact that uh, I'm wondering, you know, we're like, I mean, a lot of people are talking about this fact that we're on this sort of collision course with China. We're also like on a cultural collision course. I realize with a bunch of areas, and when I say we, I mean Western civilization, which I consider myself to be a part of, in sort of a conflicted way. Not conflicted, but like clearly I'm part of Western civilization, but at the same time I have connections to these other places, right? Like Africa, where it's more communitarian. It's not necessarily part of Western civilization in the sense that it doesn't have like some of the same, or at least maybe it is part of Western civilization, but not in the same way. Like for example, obviously they have Christianity in Africa, but they have less emphasis on the individual, whereas you know, Europe has an emphasis on individual rights and obviously a certain amount of socialism and you know concern for the social order, and then you come to America and it's just like capitalist and it's very very individualistic in our philosophies. And then you think, I wonder long term, are we colliding? Are we going to have a collision with China, for example, where, and I'm not saying this to say that they're weird, right? I'm just saying I wonder whether they operate, you know, from the exposure I have, for example, from going to Cameroon and spending time with family, like whether, you know, Chinese people or people in Asia just think about the world differently. Maybe they don't think in such an individualistic sort of way, such an emphasis on individual rights relative to the state. I just think, in other words, if to be American is to think in the framework of the Constitution, period. The U.S. Constitution. You think in those terms, right? And the U.S. Constitution is a product of the American colonies' relationship with England, right? And the British Empire. And that dictates and how we think about things, right? Very much the U.S. Constitution is a response to what the founders perceived as an excesses of the British Empire against individuals and the power of the state against people. I'm starting to wonder, honestly, as I read more, whether maybe it might be the case that China doesn't have any equivalent to that. So, as an American, I can just assume that, of course, they would want individual rights, or assume that they think certain things are good. But maybe they haven't had experiences that have created the necessity for that, or opportunity for that, or a way of having success that's built on that. I mean, part of the reason uh, we dig the Constitution is because I think because we perceive ourselves as having been able to succeed because of it. Well, I mean, what about if part and if and the Constitution has evolved in ways to accommodate us so we can continue to succeed, right? Like that's how you get the modern administrative state, which technically is not in the Constitution, right? It gets expanded, which allows for more complex management of, I don't know, the economy, health care, um, safety, etc., defense. Um, it's grown in these ways that have facilitated our success. And similarly, in Asia, I mean, I'm sure I'm not the greatest historian about China, but I'm wondering whether China has evolved in ways, obviously, to meet the challenges that it's faced historically. Um, and obviously, on some level, they are converging on America. And I've heard someone jokingly said that wealthy Chinese people are pretty much like Americans. They can be loud, big personalities, very friendly, very outgoing, garrulous, individualistic, on the hustle, right? So maybe these societies are converging, but I guess what I'm just wondering is if they don't come from a Judeo Christian tradition, why would I expect that they emphasize the things that I end up expecting or end up emphasizing? You know? Um, I also have an interesting question of like, right, Western civilization is a product of this Judeo Christian tradition, which then gets translated into the Enlightenment, which then gets translated into like individual rights and civil liberties and the rights of the individual, which then facilitates like an economic system, and which, it turns out like, financiers and business people are very, very amenable to this notion of the rule of law. And obviously, China has existed so long, it clearly also has a strong notion of the rule of law. I mean, you have these empires and a giant system of bureaucrats running this enormous country that is, I mean, literally just so large and populated, with different kinds of people. I mean, clearly they have some notion of the rule of law, but I just wonder if that notion of the rule of law doesn't come out of a Judeo Christian concept, how will it mesh with our notions of the rule of law? In other words, we might have things that operate similarly, but they come along totally different philosophical um, traditions. They're different, to put it in lawyer speak, they're different lines of doctrine that run in parallel to one another. And I'm curious what that'll mean for the future. Anyways, enough philosophizing out of me. I'll talk to you later. But if you have any thoughts on that, please reach out to me. You have my email, jackmichelle1983 @gmail.com. And I hope you have a nice week and a nice weekend. Take care. Bye.